Hello, I'm Roy Rollocks, founder and lead business coach at VisionWorks. And today I would like to introduce you to morning affirmations at VisionWorks. We are proud and excited to bring to you a technique utilized by many top performers in just about every field of endeavor. So what is an affirmation? An affirmation is an oral or written statement confirming something to be true even when you don't feel like it. VisionWorks affirmations are simple, positive statements declaring specific goals or outcomes for your day. These empowering declarations can have profound effect on the conscious and subconscious mind. So why affirmations? Positive affirmations can help you create positive emotions, which can improve your mental, emotional, and physical health. The awareness that affirmations produce makes you more likely to challenge negative or defeating thoughts as they arise. Research on affirmations indicates that they can boost your problem solving and decision-making skills, help you to perform better under pressure, help you to focus on abundance rather than lack, and develop an attitude of gratitude. So how do you make the best of VisionWorks morning affirmation? First, find a place free of distraction. Secondly, remain calm. Smile if it feels natural to you. Say your affirmation slowly and clearly. That's number 3. Fourthly, repeat the affirmations at least 3 times, really focusing on the meaning of each word. We are convinced that these affirmations, when added to your daily routine, will empower you for greater impact. So look out for more of our promos and subscribe, and you will receive our podcast once a week that you can repeat daily to set your day on the right path. See you on the inside.
Good evening to all those tuning in. You're tuning in to VisionWorks Financial Friday, and welcome to Taking Advantage of Online Payments, Decoding the World of Online Payments. This is really a session that have been looking forward to. So many persons have been asking me about this particular topic. So today we're excited to have a great panel with us this evening to explore this particular topic, and we trust that it will be beneficial to you all. I am Roy Rollocks, founder and impact consultant at VisionWorks. Now, VisionWorks is a team of business consultants, trainers, and coaches, and we're all committed to helping individuals like yourselves and businesses thrive in today's very volatile, very uncertain, very complex, and ambiguous world. It's often referred to as a VUCA world. What we do at VisionWorks is that we guide our clients to unearth their creative genius and direct their efforts towards innovation. This we have seen fuel ideas for sustainability and has created transformational impact that yields harmonious business and personal success. And just to give you a little background again, for those of you joining us for the first time, today and every Friday, we focus on our financial well-being and prosperity. As a certified financial planner for over 20 years, I've seen what financial distress can do to the best of us. Indeed, I have my stories. I am sure you have your own stories that you can share about how challenging it may have been sometimes for you financially. The program came out of a specific rationale where we had a survey and we asked the question, how were you making out? And you replied and said you had challenges in 3 areas: fears about whether or not you were making enough money, fears about debt and loan, and also you wanted ideas to budget and cut spending and save money. So we responded by bringing together these wonderful, exciting, innovative, informative individuals who share of their time and energy in helping persons to grow financially. So today we're focusing on online payments. Some refer to digital payments. We'll get to understand all this a little later. Online business and online shopping and online payments and other online transactions are now the order of the day, right? With its application and use being accelerated by the restrictions on a physical movement imposed by the current pandemic, it can be confusing and intimidating when attempting any online transaction. It has happened to me, and I'm certainly some of you listening have had the same experience. Even when we get the process right, many questions still remain. Will I make a mistake and click the wrong thing? Is it safe? Will my payments go through? Will I be prone to some identity or some theft online? What can I use to pay? How do international credit cards and payment systems connect with our local apps here? Just to name a few of the issues. So today we utilize some of our presenters and our panelists' personal experiences, and we seek to decode the often confusing online world, explore online payment options available locally, review tips and tricks that help us to be mindful of what we should do online when dealing with payments, as well as to help you make a wise choice concerning online payments. Today, our program consists of 3 main presentations of about 5 minutes each. After each presentation, we will have a question and answer segment where you will be able to post your questions in the comment section. To do that, you have to use the hashtag ask presenter's name underscore and the question. For example, if you're asking me a question, hashtag ask Rollux underscore and the question. That we will be in that way we'll be able to respond to the question. Every presenter is passionate about seeing individuals achieve financial success. So I'm happy to let you know more about them. All right. So to get the most out of the session today, ask a lot of questions, keep your mind open, be positive as regard this particular topic, and I'm sure you will benefit. Our featured panelists today include a very powerful team. Randall Douglas, he's an online marketing strategist with Ingenuity Business Development. We also have Alina Lewis, success coach and online business practitioner of Launchpad Consultancy. Sheldon Blue, business coach and digital payment enthusiast at Timely Entrepreneur. And Kevin Sandy, technology coach and strategist at Sandy's Innovative Technology Solutions. So we want to bring on our first presenter today, and he is none other than Randall Douglas. And just to give you a little bit about Mr. Douglas, Mr. Douglas has been in the field of consulting in a wide number of areas for over 20 years. All right. Today, he is going to be looking at the area of online payments. So he's going to give us an overview. He's going to present the landscape, all right, and give us a sense of what's out there. When he's finished, then we're going to come back and have a little bit more discussion. So without further ado, I'd like to turn over to our online marketing strategist, Randall Douglas. Over to you, Randall.
Thank you, Roel. Thanks a lot, Roel. Thanks for the introduction. I feel so humble, but I'm really humbled by the opportunity to speak to many of our entrepreneurs out there, both young, old, new, in the business for a long time, to try and demystify a bit about what is out there in terms of online payments. Now, I'm not going to be exhaustive today. I'm going to paint a bit of the landscape for everyone in terms of what is happening so that you can have a good idea. My fellow colleagues will go a bit more into detail in their specific areas, but hopefully I can leave you by the end of my session with a sense of how things will work and how things are working for people in business today. So first of all, what is an online payment? When you think about it, an online payment is really just a payment that is exchanges money for goods and services, but it happens over the internet. So essentially, some of you listening in, maybe many of you, would have been involved in an online payment before. So many of us shop on Amazon. I have a friend of mine who says the only thing he didn't get off of Amazon was his wife and children. So we're familiar with that. Otherwise, some of us now would delve into the other areas besides just shopping and be involved in other types of transactions, purchasing raw materials, purchasing other goods and services, maybe for personal use and so on. But there's the other area now where we want to receive payments, receiving online payments, especially in terms of business. And why is that important? Well, essentially, we know that our business world has been changing and changing for a while now. Online payments have become part of the landscape and part of the lingo. And before COVID, people were dabbling in it. There were various mechanisms available. But with COVID and the global pandemic, it exploded, both in Trinidad and Tobago and all over the world. And many of our business people, like yourself, had to jump into it feet first and try and figure out what to do. Some of us may still be trying to figure out all the different pieces. So let's paint a bit of the landscape for you. In doing online payments, most services and providers have what they call a gateway. A gateway, as you would imagine, as the word suggests, is just a way in which you can enter into the particular tool or mechanism that to facilitate the online payment. Now, many years ago, many of our local banks were a bit wary of online payments, and with natural understanding of that, of why that is. Essentially, online payments meant that you had to send transactions and money over the internet to a foreign person, and you had to verify it. You had to make sure it was safely done so that there would not be theft, and there would not be issues that people would have to say, okay, I don't know where my money is, or did I receive my payment, and so on. Now there are many tools available that help with online payments, and some of the tools I group into two categories. You have your payments that are inside of our website, and there are payments that are outside of our website. And that has certainly not changed a lot, but just has exploded. Warren Buffett, who's a US investor that some of you may know, is fond of saying that millionaires are made in recessions. And even though the global pandemic brought about somewhat of a recession in terms of finances, it also exploded a lot of people's business. So let's first talk about payments inside of the website. So if you have a website or an online presence, you may be familiar, or you may want to know, well, what is involved with payments inside of my website? So some of you may have built your website using any of the many tools available. There's WordPress, which is very popular. There's Weebly. There is Square. All of these are different online website creators, and many of them integrate with payment platforms. So they would have different ways of pulling in platforms that connect with your bank or connect with your credit card or debit card, as it may be, to facilitate that receipt of payments and receipt of goods. You also have a lot, and so in terms of inside your website, you have people that you may have heard of, like PayPal, right? PayPal is a US-based company, right? And they do have local PayPal accounts where you can receive money. They receive money or they pay out money to local Visa cards. So that's something that you have to have in order to be able to facilitate that. Some of you who work with WordPress and other platforms may be familiar with a service or what they call a plugin called WooCommerce. Now, WooCommerce allows you to create an online shop, and they also allow you to connect with different payment processors who have gateways to receive that money on your behalf. So WooCommerce is a key part of it. And many of our local institutions and our local banks, for example, Republic Bank has something called ePay, FCB has EasyBiz, and there are other people who also, many of the other banks also use a payment merchant provider, gateway provider called First Atlantic, who facilitate those payments and tie back into your website. So inside your website, you can connect all the pieces. You can make sure that if somebody buys a product or service from me, that I receive their money and they know that I've received their money, and then I can ship to them or deliver the service. So that's what happens on the inside part. And there are many different tools, as I mentioned. And if you are with a particular bank, you can ask them, as I mentioned, there's GMMB, there's FCB, Scotia, Republic Bank Limited, CIBC, Royal Bank, and so on, all have services that are available. And First Atlantic is usually the common one that they use to establish these. We also have WePay, which is a local online payment processor. Paywise as well is also another online local payment processor, and they can do integrations as well with websites. That's the inside part. Let's talk quickly about the outside part. So if you think about it, if you don't have the wherewithal to create your own website in full, maybe you're using Facebook platform, maybe you're using Instagram, maybe you're using another form of social media, you can still receive payments. Facebook, for example, has different means of connecting payments through their platform, usually again using a credit card and things like that to be able to process it. So they do that, as well as some of the platforms that they own, such as Instagram and so on. But as simple as it is, and we always like to be simple in terms of our group here, you can also just tell somebody, listen, if I give you my bank information, send me an online transfer. Many of the banks, both local and foreign, allow you to send payments to anyone once you have their banking information. So that's an online transfer. For some businesses, they may want what they call an ACH transfer. ACH stands for automatic clearinghouse and or automated clearinghouse. So what that means is that essentially it's a more of a structured business transaction where they can do it from within their own banking system, send specific amounts or send in on a repeated basis and so on. That may require a bit more information from you besides just your bank account number. It may require, for example, a routing number, which all banks have, and so on. So something as simple as that, just saying, here's my account number, pay me online, you can do it. Outside of your website now, you also have, besides the banking system, you have PayPal, which you can process payments through. Some of the banks as well facilitate their business clients by giving them small handheld machines, which actually allow you to put in a credit card number that you receive from someone either via email or via whatever communication that you use online. That's a bit more risky, but in terms of the person who your client or your customer, but it does allow you to facilitate the transaction. Our banks, of course, are very prudent and they're very risk averse in that, making sure they want to secure money. So they will ask a lot of questions and require you to provide a lot more information and detail in order to get one of these machines and so on. But it's available. You also have the ability with outside payments. There's a couple other payment providers that work in the Caribbean, such as Veem, that's V-E-M, Veem, and you can go online and check them out. You also have Payoneer, that's P-A-Y-O-N-E-E-R, Payoneer, and they're also another payment provider that, even though it's US-based, both of them will sign people up from the Caribbean and from Trinidad. You have Figaro, which actually Royal Bank has a relationship with, and that was it's a Panamanian business. They were actually working with Visa. Visa awarded them as a prize and an accomplishment they have, and they are facilitating payments in the Caribbean. So they're also another payment provider. So these people all allow you outside of your website now to receive payments by signing up with them and paying it out to a credit card or in some cases a local bank account. So there's options available, ladies and gentlemen, out there for you and your business. One thing I wanted to touch on that you have to be very aware of, and I'm sure my colleagues will get into this, payments providers like these don't come just free. You always have a cost. Yeah? And that cost means that you have to be very careful about what you're signing up for. Some people have a flat fee in terms of a dollar fee per transaction. Some people have a percentage fee, like PayPal, or for example, WePay will charge 3.5% as of my last check on their website, right? Plus a 25 cents charge. So you have to be aware of that as you get into it. And my colleagues will probably cover that a bit more, but you have to be aware of that. So, but nobody is free. Obviously, you may say, oh gosh, I'm a small business, maybe, and why do I have to pay this? But they have to make money to keep these things going as well. So you have to be aware of that and you have to plan your business accordingly. And the final thing I want to touch on just before I hand over back to Roel is looking at the whole idea of, or just maybe asking a bit, I'm sure some people may wonder, what about crypto? And if you're not familiar with it, crypto or cryptocurrency is the new sort of thing that is prevalent in our lingo and certainly in the foreign lingo as far as financial transactions, right? It's decentralized finance, it's digital finance, and it's full. Cryptocurrency is not cash as we know it, but it's digital currency that has been created. We won't go into all the specifics here today because we don't have enough time, and I will probably take up all of my colleagues' time if I went into it. But certainly what happens with cryptocurrency, many people are accepting cryptocurrency as forms of payment. That's something that's challenging for us in the Caribbean to do. Some people have been doing it, but much of the cryptocurrency, you have to prove that you're either based in the US or have an account in the US and so on. But some of our local people out in the financial sector are exploring it. Some people are trying to offer some options available, and you can tie in cryptocurrency, in some cases, payments to your website, or you can receive it outside the website in the same way as a form of payment from consumers or from your business clients. So I hope I've given a bit of an overview in the time that I have about online payments, including crypto, including payments to your website, as well as payments outside the website. And perhaps when we get into the Q&A, there may be more questions you want to ask, and we can get into that certainly together. So I'll hand back over to Roel now, and he'll take you to the next presenter to cover some more of what we want to learn about today, which is about online payments. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was quite a lot to take in there, Randall. Inside a website payments, outside a website payments, digital platforms, online transfers, quite a lot. So we want to get into, whatever questions persons who are tuning in may have at this point in time. Remember, if you want to get your questions in, hashtag ask at the presenter's name underscore and the question that you'd like to ask. So what we want to do is to bring our panelists on screen now, and we're going to explore for just a little bit, some expansion of what Randall shared today. So before I ask any specific question, I just want to ask from a panel, is there anything that you would like to add, in terms of the type of payment? Because at this time, we're just looking at the type of payment. Is there anything that you'd like to add in terms of types of payments before I ask another question? It seems like...
Oh, sorry. The question is for anybody. Any other payment?
Anyone, yes. Yeah, any other payment options that are available? We're looking at the type.
There's so much. Well, okay, Shrill used to work from Trinidad and Tobago, but they no longer work from Trinidad and Tobago. So you have now Stripe Atlas. Stripe have an additional app connected to their system called Stripe Atlas.
So this is according to Mr. Douglas, is this inside a website?
That's outside. That's outside.
Okay.
Stripe Atlas allows that. One of the things that Figaro, I think, also works with Scotiabank, which really helps. One of the thing that we were realizing is that we were trying to compare between the outside systems and then the Caribbean systems, like VP and PYs and so forth. And realize we have to look at one of the challenges we're having with payment systems, of course, is their support. So besides the Figaro, which works also with Scotiabank, Stripe Atlas, you also have all the what you call like Coinbase and so forth that works with Shopify. They actually add some more systems there that you could actually work with them.
What is Shopify? You mentioned Shopify. What is Shopify?
Well, Shopify is really, as Mr. Dorgo mentioned, in some platforms, like Weebly and so forth. Shopify is like a platform too, but it's geared to run really having a shop, like a shop in the mall. Yeah,
right.
It's geared around.
Anyone can use it. Any
digital.
business.
Yeah, digital platforms. It works more if you have more physical products to sell, kind of like your own little Amazon, so to speak. Right, but digital, yeah, it works. It kind of allows you in that market. So Shopify has, of course, you have the PayPal, as everybody already know, but of course they have added some stuff like Coinbase. To checkout also works with Trinidad and Tobago. It's a platform that works with Trinidad and Tobago accounts and cards and so forth. Because it's either to work with the bank account or to work with the card from Trinidad and Tobago, whether it's credit or debit is what we look at. Some of them are restricted, but To Checkout works with our stuff as well. Great. So To Checkout is one that a lot of people use as well.
Okay. Well,
there's some others who are trying, but challenges.
Those are the main ones. So another word that has been bandied about is wallets. And I don't know if this would be more relevant for individuals, because we would have persons here who may not necessarily be business persons who are looking to set up a payment system. But what about individuals? What's a wallet? Is that something that individuals can use?
Well, a wallet can really cover two concepts. You have a wallet that is connected with cryptocurrency. Yeah, so cryptocurrency uses the term wallet a lot. So if you have cryptocurrency, which is any of those digital coins, you can store it in your wallet, and it's supposed to be a secure way, an anonymous way of keeping your money safe. Of course,
where's this wallet?
This wallet is all in the cloud. It's all online. And that frightens a lot of people. But that's where we're headed. And a lot of the banks and so on are also coining the term and saying, we have wallets too. Google has a wallet, for example, right? There's a Google wallet where you can actually make payments to Google, and they're incorporated into their part of their Google business if you want to use them in terms of conducting business on the web as well. So Apple has a wallet called Apple Pay, right? Where they have a card and they have other means of facilitating payment. So wallets in our traditional sense is what we have in our pocket or in our purse, but wallets can now mean digital in the cloud and connected with
Okay.
cryptocurrency or outside of that in terms of traditional money, which you may, it's a word called fiat, right? Which is an old word, FIAT, which is what is called traditional money. But that's what traditional money is, fiat. So wallets can also be online, and a lot of the banks, both locally and particularly foreign, have. I mean, your bank account is basically like a wallet. Right?
So why should someone who's listening in consider having a wallet? Why should I have a wallet? Why
It's
can't I
really,
just send money from my card or send money from my bank account? Why do I need a wallet?
as Kevin was saying, where if you're going to dabble into cryptocurrency payments or receiving payments via cryptocurrency. So Coinbase is one of what you call the exchanges. Just like how we have a banking system, the cryptocurrency exchanges are digital platforms that in the digital world, in cloud platforms on the internet, where cryptocurrency is traded. So the wallet basically allows you to exchange cryptocurrency between yourself and somebody else, paying for goods and services. So a wallet can be good if you are confident and you have checked out all the means and methods by which you can both receive cryptocurrency and withdraw it, because there's two aspects to it. You can receive cryptocurrency sometimes very easily, but getting it out into regular, what they call fiat or regular money in a bank account or in a credit card is a little more challenging depending upon who you're using. And I'm sure Kevin could speak to that.
Yes. Anything you care to add there, Kevin? About
Well,
the wallet?
one of the things, as you know, Paul, one of the things that I do, Roll, is try to bring it to the person has a wallet, and their wallet normally is on their person. And normally, the only people who see what's in their wallet is them or somebody they trust at a very high degree.
Yes.
So there are some security barriers they put around their wallet. They might give you their handbag, but they might take their wallet with them. But once the wallet is in the handbag, they're very protective. So what happened is that we have to now train people that something you can't see and touch is also safe, and
Yes.
that it's not in your person can also be kept safe, and
Yes.
how the safety is done. So one of the things we let them do, okay, if you have to now send money to the person, you have physical paper money, but we need to get this money converted into a digital form so that the person on the other side of the world can actually receive it, because it will take planes and buses and trucks to actually carry the physical money to them. So we said, okay, if you could just at least get the physical money to the bank and the bank converts it, but to get it to the person, it must go in another secure area to represent your physical wallet that you have on your person. So when the person receives it, they know they're actually receiving, like if you're pulling it out from your wallet and giving it to them. It's not all over the place and everybody have access to it. It's secure, it's safe, it's channeled, it's protected. So when they receive it in their bank account, they know they're gonna get it safe without anybody tampering with it, so to speak. So the wallet allows for that smooth transition from you to them without anybody else seeing what you handed them.
What's happening?
You know,
Okay, I understand.
except the bank.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
I understand. Anything that Sheldon or Lena you'd like to chime in to add to this thing about the wallets?
I just want to endorse what Kevin was saying when he mentioned just because you can't see it or you can't touch it, it doesn't mean it's not safe. You know, because a lot of time fear enters and we begin to get nervous because of a lack of knowledge or lack of understanding. But I think that was a really great point that Kevin brought up, and something we certainly should take with us, those who are learning maybe for the first time by listening to the presenters here this evening, or even being reminded of some additional points. Remember, if you're stepping into something new, there is not a need for fear, because as Kevin said, just because you can't see it or touch it doesn't mean it's not safe. And I love that quote from him.
Excellent. Anything you'd like to add here, Sheldon?
Well, I could recall, and well, I would kind of term PayPal as a sort of as a wallet as well, that has been around for a little while, right? And a lot of people used to be afraid to use PayPal because of that same thing. They didn't trust the system. They didn't trust the setup, you know. But as everybody has attested to, right? There are safeguards. There online now is different from online in the past, and even online in the past, to some extent, as like the PayPals and all that, they were also secure, right? So it should be, what we should do is part of our preaching should be to get people to understand that, okay, yes, the safeguards are so strong that it's almost like you have your stuff in a bag.
Yes.
For the more recognized wallets that are out there.
It's
You know?
yes, Randall, you have something to
No,
add?
I was just going to add one thing because I know we're going to be moving on, but to kind of buffer what Sheldon and Alina and Kevin were saying, I remember a story with my grandmother when my grandmother was born in I think 1890 or whatever it was at the time. I'm forgetting the exact date. So when I grew up with her in her house, she used to tell me, don't, if it was that the TV was on, you need to turn off other things because the electricity will come through and it'll be a problem. Because she could not understand about how the television and electricity worked because she grew up in time with candle and things like that. So for many of us, we have that, as Alina said, fear, which Roll and I often use a lot when we're doing our joint work together, false evidence appearing real. That's not to say, as I always tell my children, you must not be aware, right? Awareness is different from fear. So being aware means about educating yourself and making yourself knowledgeable so that you take away that fear and you take away that lack of understanding about how things work. And you then, once you understand that, then you can put yourself in a position to take advantage of it because everyone else is doing so. And not just because everyone else is doing it, so you should do it too, but you should understand where the trends are going. Because for the same reason we're on these devices now, listening to us today, if everybody had fear over them, we'd not be using them, right? And our children who don't know that fear, they use it every day, right? In the same way, we need to understand where digital currency and digital things like wallets and so on are going, because even the so-called regular finance institutions are all jumping into it. So
Yes.
they understand how it works. Yeah.
Is there something you wanted to add, Alina?
No.
Okay, because I know definitely in our next segment, we're going to be talking about these fears and how do we get over all these myths and concerns about online. But would you say that in terms of the growth of online payments, I mean, does anybody have a sense of how this thing is growing and expanding and how people are using it? I saw an article once that said dead to fiat, meaning that cash is dead, What do you foresee in the next 3, 4, 5 years when it comes? Is it that everybody now will have an online wallet and we'll be trading? Let me get into your crystal ball. Give me a little sense of what you see will happen.
The word is called value.
Yes.
That's the word that is going to be put forward. And what is going to happen is that in fact, one thing I did in my early training sessions with introducing people to money was to show them a bunch of barley, some salt, and different things, and come write up different things until I show them a screen with some numbers.
Yes.
And I said, what all of these represent? And everybody's they represent, well, this is money, this is a card, this is a this. But when you realize it's really value. So trading of value is where we're really heading.
Yes.
Is what you are giving me, is it how much value, what can I give you that's of the same value to this? Whether it's in weight, whether it's in a quality of a precious metal,
yes,
whether it's our numbers on a screen. So the goal, the way they're going, even though it goes to crypto and all of that, at the end of the day, it's value. It's all about whatever you're offering me, I need to pay you the value with that. And this value, I must be able to take this value and also use it also to do other things in my life. Whatever the figure or the product or the particular thing that I use, as I'm not talking about fiat, that's one form of currency, but there's only one of the 6 or 7 types of value came through history and is going.
Yeah.
So it's value.
So certainly times are changing, and just before we get into our next segment, one of the words that's bandied about is blockchain. All right. What does blockchain have to do with this whole discussion? Does it help facilitate digital or online payment? Where does blockchain fit into the picture?
Well, certainly, I know this is part of Kevin's area, but I'll just add my piece, say that blockchain is really the underlying technology that makes cryptocurrency. So if you think about if you were in terms of either school or what you've been doing, you would know that we have maths, 1 + 1 is 2 and so on and whatever. We have different, and software, IT software is built on the same concept of mathematical programming and things like that, which are rules. And blockchain basically is a type of rule and a type of software that involves encryption, which means that it can be put in a way where somebody cannot read it easily unless they have a key to crack it. So blockchain technology in a simplified way is really the foundation by which someone created that people can use now to put financial transactions, which is part of what cryptocurrency is, in a safe but encrypted way, so that, as Kevin was saying, I can give you my money and you could receive my money, and we know we could be safe. In fact, blockchain is not just used for cryptocurrency, it's used for many other types of things all over the internet, and people may not be aware. Right? People say, oh gosh, it's blockchain. I don't know what you may be using blockchain in a way that you don't even know right now, because it's an underlying software. I mean, that's my generalized description of it. I mean, Kevin could probably add a little more to it.
Yes, Kevin.
I know we can spend a whole show talking about crypto and blockchain.
I'll just make it simple. Well, I'll make it simple. Well, I'll tell somebody, okay, well, let's be really simple. For example, if I go to buy something from you and I give you the money, I could come back to, if I don't have some kind of record to show that I actually pay you, if you don't give me something to show that I pay you, I could come back next week with somebody and say, hey, I give this man this thing so and so, and he didn't pay me. So the fact that if I don't have anything to show, or you don't have anything to show that you actually paid, then I can actually carry to the courts and lie on you. But we keep records, and those records we call them receipts. So the same way we give somebody a receipt because they pay us. When we go to the bank or we make a transaction in the bank have a record showing, yes, you withdrew such and so, or yes, you deposited this. That record is actually saved on a computer somewhere. In fact, several computers around the world or around the country. That record is the beginning of cryptocurrency. Blockchain is just a platform that actually allows the actual receipts or the records to actually compare with each other. So if I do a transaction here with someone, but I go to China with my same account, I'm connecting to my account in Trinidad, I'm in China. What will allow the person in China to show that I actually have that money there is some sort of connection between the Trinidad records and the record in China. There'll be something connecting both to show, yes, this person really have $50,000. They can actually pay me the money. Well, on the platforms, that connection, blockchain handles those connections and compare what you have here with what they have there, with where somebody else. So even if one goes down, the record is stored somewhere. So blockchain is just, I mean, you could call it servers, you have all these different technical terms, but just to break it down for simple, it's just a place where all the records are stored and compared with each other. So the same records can show up in the same place. So nobody could fool each other or smart each other or fraud each other.
And it's encrypted. So it's
protected.
Yes. Protected. Yes, it's protected.
So it gives a measure of authenticity to transactions, so you know it's safe.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you so much for this first segment. We want to now jump into our next session. And in this session, Miss Lewis, Alina Lewis, who is, a success coach and strategist, and today she's being represented as an online business practitioner, having had many years of doing online transactions. She'll be delving into the whole idea of the myths. Why should we get into these online payments? She will explore some of the concerns and the myths and help us to understand why we should get involved in it. So at this time, we want to bring on Miss Lewis.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So excited to be here to be able to share about why we should use online payment methods. And certainly we can acknowledge that online payment methods are great, not just if you're a business owner, but are really helpful if you are the consumer, the individual, Jack or Jill from down the road, that you too benefit from the use of online payments. And so I just really want to be able to have a moment to share 3 basic things as we take a practical approach to really understand the mindsets and the attitudes we have that often both consciously and subconsciously affect how we interact with information, the types of choices that we make, because we don't want to keep ourselves from the benefit of enjoying the benefits of online payments because maybe of a lack of information. So even as we start talking about why we use online methods, we want to take just a little consideration about the benefits of electronic payments, both for the merchants and the individuals. Because think about it, if it is the business owner is excited to engage online payment methods, but none of the consumers, none of the buyers want to be online to pay for anything. It doesn't work. It must go hand in hand. And certainly there are benefits for both groups. And I want to start by making the point to remind us that electronic payments save time. We all have so much that we want to do, whether you're running a business and you want to be able to maximize on the time that you take to put into the development of your business and your products, your services, and so on. You want to be able to maximize your time, and spending a long amount of time processing hard cash or fiat, as we remembered, as we reminded of earlier in the session, that can take up a lot of our time and all the processes that surround it. So by paying by a card or through online banking, you find valuable time is saved both for the customer and for the business owner. Because why? It makes it more efficient. You can process those payments faster. You have shorter lines in your stores. If you are going into a store to make a payment, you have to stand for less amount of time in the store. And if you are the owner, you find that you need less staff even to manage your store at peak times. So let's think of a practical example of how this can work. Let's say you are able to make your payment using card online through a website, or even transfer payment to the store owner for the services that you want. Now, all of a sudden, instead of having to get to the store, go to the counter, speak with the receptionist, take a seat, wait on your turn with a number, go back to the desk, make your payment, go sit and wait, then they go package your good, then they bring it out, you say thank you, and you leave. It sounds long and dreary, doesn't it? Because it is long and dreary. But imagine if you made your payment online. By the time you get to the store, because your payment has already been processed, when you get to the store, you say, "Hi, I'm here to collect the package." And they say, "Great, your package is ready," and you're out. It saves on time and it helps us to be efficient, whether it is the business owner being efficient because they don't have these long lines. And let's be honest, with COVID, we really want to avoid the long lines. So by being able to process our payments online, you find even all of these curbside services that we're attempting to offer. Because curbside doesn't just apply to food now, does it? Curbside could be the order at the pharmacy. Curbside could be the order at the clothing store. Wherever you go for your goods or to be able to access a service, by being able to make your payment electronically, it saves you time and it keeps things efficient. And that is a really great reason to now want to take advantage of all those options that you find Randall spoke about in his presentation earlier, or being open to connecting with these online platforms that even Kevin shared about during our Q&A session. Keep in mind as well, electronic payments are indeed secure. And I'm going to quote Kevin again. He said, just because you can't see it, just because you can't touch it, doesn't mean it's not safe. Electronic payments are safe. Think about it. What benefit does the banking system or the financial institution have if your payment and the methodologies they offer to you electronically are not safe? There'll be a loss of confidence, a loss of trust. That does not benefit the institution. So we want to remember, sometimes we question, I don't know how safe this is. I don't know if the bank is going to be able to keep my money and my digital record safe. I prefer to have my physical money and go into the bank. But the bank doesn't benefit from not keeping your online payments safe. The bank doesn't benefit if there's a breach in trust. So I want us to keep that in mind, even when we think about the safety safety that is associated with electronic payments. And even if we're not talking about our local banks and we're talking about international institutions and platforms, they don't benefit if there is fraud, if there is error, if there are glitches on the system. So certainly, I really want to encourage you to remember that you do not need to worry about the safety of your money at the bank and online, but rather encourage yourself, especially if you're a business owner, to remember that online payments, multiple studies have shown that online payment option causes businesses to generate more revenue. Why? Because consumers tend to spend more when using electronic methods of payments when compared to when they're paying with cash. And a lot of studies internationally have taken place. So if we know that by making payments easy, secure, convenient, means we can increase our sales, that's an awesome thing, especially if you're a business owner looking to make sure you have seamless systems and you're encouraging to have business operations. That means that you could expand and do more. And I want to remind you, last but certainly not least, in this group of points I want to share with you, that a really lovely benefit of electronic payments is that it makes it easy to administer business services. Because by having to accept fewer cash payments, or even by going cashless altogether, you're going to have such an easier time with accounting and auditing, because instead of you having to go through all of these physical documents and so on, all your records are there digitally. Every time the machine is swiped, every time a transfer happens online, every time a transaction takes place, because there's a use of a credit card or one of these platforms, there are integrations happening to make sure that you don't have to worry about having your accounting being recorded properly, because everything now is happening electronically, and it makes it so much easier for you, for your accountant, your auditor, to keep track of what is going on, so that you could monitor your business operations, you could monitor your cash flow. All of these are essential for making sure your business is operating efficiently and you're able to make wise decisions. Because if you're thinking about expanding, if you're thinking about adding a new line, opening a new branch, even if you're thinking about something as simple as hiring a new employee, how do you know if you can afford that? Your records pay into the information base that helps with this decision making. And what I want you, especially if you're an owner for small business, information is critical for all of your operations, for everything that you want to do. And by using electronic banking methods, it makes it so much easier to maintain those records. Now, we must admit that myths and concerns form a large part of why many of us, both owners of businesses as well as consumers, tend to become hesitant, and we're not sure if we want to get into it, whether we want to stick with cash because we could see it, feel it, touch it, it's all good. So I really want to take a moment and let's just consider with some of the myths that are associated with online banking, electronic banking, digital operations with money. And one of the high red flags is that the myth that says your money is not safe if you bank online. It's a very common myth that your money is not secure. But as I mentioned earlier, reputable companies who provide online banking, they are committed to protecting their customers' account information in every way, whether it's usernames, passwords that are used for verification. All of these are protected. And banks and financial institutions are always looking for new technology to prevent fraud and alert them to fraudulent activities. So even as we think about so many of the upgrades that have happened locally right here in Trinidad, even during the pandemic, so many of us who probably didn't get notifications on our mobile realize now every time we swipe a card, you get a text message. Or many of us who maybe didn't get a lot of emails realize whether you go to the bank, you go to the ATM, you go to a store, now you have emails popping up. Why? Because the bank wants to let you know that they have systems in place that helps you to know what's happening with your money, when it's happening, where it happened. So even if you feel a bit nervous about the safety of your money, the fact that you get all of these updates coming in, whether through your email or through your phone, through SMS and so on, it helps you to feel secure and know that the systems are in place to track and monitor to make sure that not just the money that you have settled in investments and savings is safe, but even the process of utilizing the systems to make purchases and so on, that too is safe and well accounted for. Another thing people worry about is the idea of customer service. We like dealing with cash, or even for some of us, we like physically going into the bank. We don't want to do anything online. I want to go in the bank and give them the money, you know. But because a lot of times people are wondering, oh, what would happen if I have a question? What happens to customer service? But again, this myth, the assumption is that customer service is not available with online banking. But think about it this way: when banks develop their sites and their apps, the same way there is a physical person available in that bank to be able to answer questions, in a similar manner, when we look at our mobile apps, our online, the websites that we go to do our banking, there is always somewhere you can see where you can click for help. And whether that help is in the form of an FAQ where they already know the process you're going to go through and some of the challenges you may have, so they provide the answers up front, or whether there's that live chat button where you may not be talking with somebody over the phone, but there is a representative ready to answer your questions in real time. Many financial institutions and so on, they offer these services as part of support. So if receiving customer support to have your questions answered, or make sure you're clicking the right place or you're going in a direction, if that is your concern, I want you to rest assured that you just have to pay attention to what is around you, even in the apps that you are using, because our banks or financial institutions, they do have a lot of services involved to support that customer service query. For many others, there's a concern that online banking is time consuming or it's too complicated. And we say, oh my gosh, no, I can't handle it. I don't understand. Even as we consider what Randall shared about his grandmom, and she just could not conceptualize how could this thing work, this electricity, how does it work? A lot of us operate the same way with money and banking, and especially as it comes to online facilitation of payments and movement of money. But I want to encourage us to remember that at first, yes, it might be a little bit difficult because you're new. Anything you're new to, it might feel a bit challenging in the beginning. But know that as you choose to allow yourself to be exposed to knowledge and information, even similar like attending this webinar, you are exposing yourself so you could learn more. And whether that learning is through online webinars, whether the learning is by connecting with your financial institution, chatting with others who use these services, you get to know your way around the online system. You find that that experience of feeling a little bit confused or feeling like, oh, it's too complicated, it will dissipate. It will go away. It will not last for all times. So I want to remind us, it takes knowledge, it takes exposure. Allow yourself to learn and to interact and chat with others, not to tell them your opinion, we're keeping it safe, right? But chat with others about their experience with banking so you can learn from them and you can learn how you can maximize on the many services that are offered locally right here in Trinidad and Tobago as it pertains to being able to facilitate these online payments. Yeah. And last but certainly not least, remember I gave that example earlier of imagine if you had to go to the store and pay cash for that item. Well, online banking, electronic payments, it makes things convenient. And convenience is what we want so that we could maximize our time, we could optimize our business processes, and even as individuals, we could avoid spending lengthy amounts of times in a line when there are many options available. So finally, a big question: what are the benefits of the various plans available locally? Earlier, our earlier presenter and even in the panel, we discussed so many options. We talked about WePay and PayWise. We talked about the credit card, the wallet. And I just want to touch on a common few that, especially if you're new to electronic payments and you're new to online banking, these are some simple few, some standard few that if you're not already engaging these services, you should, because it's a great way to start off if it's not an experience you've really explored before. And so I want to remind us, VTM cards are a great tool for helping with electronic payments. What are VTM cards? Well, these are the travel money cards, the Visa travel money cards, and you can get them from banks. I know that Republic Bank has discontinued the issuing of VTM cards, but JMMB, I believe, still gets it done. There are many credit unions that are still offering VTM cards. And what VTM cards? It's a prepaid Visa card that once you purchase it, you're able to load money. What do we mean by load money? Well, you're able to transfer money from your local bank account and transfer it to being available on that particular card, and usually being available now in US dollars. So this way you could access your funds and it's reloadable. So unlike a credit card where it's almost a loan facility that you're getting from your bank, in this case with the VTM card, you're spending only what you have. You're spending only what is loaded on the card. And why do we need it? Well, one, it's a Visa travel money card. So if you're traveling, it's a great help, whether you're traveling for pleasure or you're traveling for business. Now, instead of having to get foreign currency and go to the bank and get US dollars if you don't have it, if you're traveling, you could use this card at stores, whether you're purchasing for personal or business purposes. You could use your card internationally to be able to buy products and to be able to access funds. So the question then is, what about if I'm not traveling? What if I'm just operating locally? Well, the card is still very helpful, because think about it. Let's say you really want to access a particular product or service and you're having challenges sourcing it locally. So probably you could go online, whether you go to a traditional Amazon or you go to some other international site, and you want to be able to purchase this good or this service online. How do you pay for it? You can't mail them your TT dollars. So then what do you do? Well, just like a credit card, you could use your VTM card to pay for services online. You can now access such a broader range of services because you have this VTM card. And certainly that's a benefit. Again, both personally to the parent who is probably looking to do some online shopping, or the dad who wants to get some sort of an item. It's great. But as business owners, it's even better, because now you have options. You can purchase your goods directly from China. You could purchase your goods from a European country. You could purchase your items from the US, whether goods or services, by using your VTM card. So that's a great benefit. Another option we have is use of credit cards. And as I mentioned, credit cards, they function as deferred payment. So you get your card, you pay for your purchases later. And this is beneficial because it gives you an opportunity to build credit locally here with your bank. But we know that credit card offers a lot of other bonuses, like things like earning rewards or cash back or miles when you're traveling. There is protection offered with credit card against credit card fraud. In many instances, it increases what you can do, because while you could use your VTM card, let's say, to make purchases online, you typically cannot use a VTM card if you want to book a hotel. So there are certain services that a VTM card will not be able to service you. And so a credit card would be what is needed in order to access that service or make the booking. Yeah. And the credit card is not necessarily linked to a checking or savings account. You don't have to load it. So you don't have that additional step that has to be taken in order to use the credit card. And last on the list of the basics that I want to mention, especially for those maybe now exploring electronic payments and so on is the whole idea of online payment transfers. And I know Randall in his earlier presentation spoke of this, that even if you're not as yet ready to step into PayPal and Payoneer and so many of these other options, what about simply just transferring your payments online? That as a business owner, you save on time, you keep yourself efficient, you have the digital records that we spoke about, because instead of having to leave your office and go to the other company and stand in line at their office, or now sit in line because we have such a longer wait time due to COVID, why not transfer your payment for goods and services needed online through your online banking, whether you use your PC or otherwise, so that you do this online transfers, which in many instances operate almost like an instant payment. Now, granted, I'm going to wave the green flag. Different banks have different timelines for when those payments get cleared, but certainly you can make those transfers and you can query with your bank. Well, how long will it take if I'm with Republic, but I send my money to a Royal Bank? You could query. Information is power. Information is key. You get better customer service. It saves you on a lot of the costs associated with traveling and moving around. Certainly, there's a lower risk of theft. Nobody's going to rob you when you make a transfer online. You're not carrying around payment. And in a time when COVID is a concern and health is a concern, contactless options for payment are a gem. So I hope that even as I've encouraged us to consider simple things such as the benefits of these payments, myths and concerns associated with using these electronic methods, and benefits of the basics that are available locally, that maybe the challenges or the fears that we may have been experiencing or toggling with, we no longer feel those fears. But I hope that this information has really helped all of you to be a lot more open, not just the basics that I have mentioned, but to really exploring what is out there. Call a financial institution, set up an appointment, however your institution is getting those appointments on, because your ability to know what's available and be able to take advantage of those options will, without question, enhance your ability to grow your business, to make sure you remain sustainable. And for the individuals, the customers, it keeps you just on top of your schedule and not having to be inconvenienced with unnecessary runaround. So I really want to appreciate VisionWorks for having me and allowing me to share this. And I'm going to hand over to Roll at this time.
Wow, tremendous. Thank you so much, Alina. There was so much that you shared there. Essentially, one of the points that jumped out at me was the point you made about the financial institutions. They want to remain profitable. And it's certainly not in their best interest to have issues come up all the time concerning these payments. So we want to bring our panel back on I just have one question I'd like the panel to address in this section. Of course, remember, for those of you tuning in, you're tuning in to VisionWorks Financial Fridays, and we're looking at taking advantage of online payments. And, today we have such a great with us, experts in the field, who are sharing their thoughts and their ideas and their tricks and tips with us. So what I'd like to pose to the panel, we've heard so much about, the fact that, listen, we don't need to be as concerned, about these payments. The process is getting better and better over time. The technology is improving, and it's certainly the way that the world is going. I want to put a personal question to you, right? In terms of your own payment, what would be your go-to payments, right? In other words, when you sit down to make your own decision about whether you're making a bill payment or you're buying something online, what would be the option for you? What would be the option that you would use? All right. So I don't know who would like to jump in there first. Randall?
Well, I guess from my point of view, I use PayPal a lot, but something that Alina said I think is very important is that you have to be flexible. Just like how we learn to adapt in terms of how we pay and how we receive money and how we store money. So I have multiple forms of payment in terms of gateways and wallets and so on, so that at the end of the day, I have the flexibility. If a client wants to pay me using any different method, I have the ability usually to provide that for them. And if you think about it, at least having one payment method, Kevin mentioned this, we have the fiat, which is the regular money, the cash in the hand. But as we have the modern day and the situation, as Delina mentioned with COVID, having the ability to receive funds online to my bank account, receive an ACH payment, having my routing number available so I could provide it for a business or foreign client, etc. Having a credit card available, VTM card, having a online wallet in terms of whether it be payments through PayPal or otherwise. I have these things available to me to both receive payments and also to make payments if I have to buy hardware or pay for an online service that I need to support my business. So I think flexibility is important. PayPal has been something that we use a lot, but I have the flexibility and have used other services as well.
How do you make your bill payments? WASA, TN Tech. How do you do those payments?
Well, I do a lot of direct payments from bank straight to, I think Alina was mentioning this, straight to the service provider. No need to have an intermediary that might take out a percentage or delay the payment. Many of our banks, and you would have seen some of the upgrading going on recently with some mixed results from some of our local bankers, but it's all with the idea of getting better, and they're getting there. And if you have an online, 9 times out of 10, if you have a bank account, there's an online service for you that you can sign up for, and you can make payments directly to WASA, TN Tech, your insurance provider, you can make, for example, even in shopping, right? I make my payments, well, not so much through the bank, but using my credit card or my debit card from my bank to buy from Massey online. So I can just pick up. I don't have to go into the grocery, so it minimizes my risk for COVID and things like that. So Price Smart, same way, or anything like that. So definitely direct bank to paying any of these bills. It's easy. I don't have to line up flow. I don't have to line up. I just pay, and it's there. It just makes life easy and comfortable.
Just as Alina shared in her presentation about the convenience and saving in time. What about you, Kevin? I know, Kevin, you do have another appointment. I'm not sure how long we're going to have Kevin with us. So, Kevin, what about you? What are your go-to payments? What methods do you use?
Well, if I'm making payments, I just make the payments online. I do, for example, if I'm paying my like internet and so forth, you have my digital app to use the app. So those sort of things actually work. With the other things, I just do bank transfer from my bank account to the TN Tech and to WASA and all of them. The accounts are already there.
And when you're doing online shopping, what do you do?
Online shopping, I just use my cards as I
using
VTM card or whatever other cards I use. Yeah, but I no longer have credit cards. I just use debit cards only.
Okay, great. So I don't know how long again we have you. Are you still with us, Kevin?
Hello? I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Excellent. Sheldon, what about you? What are your go-to methods?
Well, we generally use payments via the bank.
Yes.
Sometimes we would make bank-to-bank online transactions with customers and suppliers.
Yes.
But we also have a little online shop where we are connected to WePay. So as people make their transactions, it goes directly there, and then we decide when to transfer it to our bank account and all that kind of stuff.
And WePay is one of our local apps.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. What about you, Alina? What is your go-to?
To be honest, the go-to really depends on the store or the customer and the purpose. So for instance, when I think about some of my customers, many of them are averse to banking. So you find a Paywise option is really great for them because Paywise allows them to choose a merchant, they make their payment, and then it goes straight into the bank account. So while it's online for me, it's physical for them, and so it works out great. But in terms of bills and so on, one of the things I love is automating my payments. So that way, I don't even have to log on every month to say, oh gosh, I need to go pay my phone bill, because I can automate it. And because my bill, for the bills that are standard, that is, I can automate those. They're paid on time. Nobody's going to charge me a late fee. Life is great. You
I
know,
like that point. I like that point about automation, because in the past we know about setting up a standing order. You get a form, you go into the bank, you have different, triplet done in triplicate. Take one to the vendor, take one to. When you say automate, help us understand, how do you automate your payments?
well, automating the payment really is usually, if you go online to pay a bill, there's that option that says pay one time only. So
Okay.
automating the payment means you get to decide, okay, do I want to set it up for 3 months, or for the next 3 months, the money would automatically come on the account. For the next year, the money would, or you get to choose. The power is yours, but you get to automate. So when you set that up, and instead of choosing one time, you choose how many times you want this to pay, whether it's every month, every week.
Easy.
It makes it easy. So, for example, there are certain things I pay quarterly. So I have set it up so that those payments come out every quarter. So instead of me being, oh my gosh, I didn't remember I paid that, let me go. No, I don't have to go check anything. It is set up so it automatically comes up. And I think that even with choosing the option for online payments, like Randall mentioned, using PayPal a lot. For me, I tend to use PayPal when I'm dealing with companies or sites that I'm unfamiliar with, and I'm not sure, I don't feel safe with your site for some reason. I feel nervous. I use PayPal because there is this air of the extra layer of security. But then for other sites where I feel comfortable, other options where I feel comfortable giving out my card number, then I may directly use my card, because when you use PayPal, then the exchange rate that applies higher. So it costs you more
Yes.
to use PayPal. So
Yes.
then these are things you want to be aware of. So I tend to use my sense of security and safety to determine, am I going to use my card? Do I want to use PayPal? And then locally, depending on what I'm paying, I may choose between electronic payment or otherwise. So it's very
Great.
functional for me.
Great. So, Randall, understand we have a comment or question coming in?
Yes, someone asked, does PayPal work with a local bank account or card? And the answer is yes, it does. And what PayPal actually has just two ways of setting up their business. If you have access to a US bank account, some of us may have studied in the US, or maybe we went away and we were able to establish an account. This is before the lockdown, because I'm talking about the lockdown financially here, not in terms of COVID, because the US has locked down a lot of ability to open foreign accounts. But you may have access to that, and you can actually open a US PayPal, which gives you a lot of features and a lot of access to certain things. But you can open a PayPal account, which is Trinidad based, and yes, it can link to a local bank account and to a local credit card. What they will do is, when you put in your information, they will do a verification process where they will ask you to check. They make a little small payment, like $1, and put it back into PayPal to make sure that it's really you and it's verified and so on, which goes back to that whole thing that Kevin was talking about securing the transaction, and making sure it's okay. So that is a key thing. And something I just want to mention, I see Kevin is going to probably comment, just that Alina said something. You see that automated payment? As a business person, if you're setting up your business, that's the beauty of things like these online services, gateways like PayPal and so on. You could actually set up payments, whether it be a button or in some of the different platforms like Shopify and so on, where recurring payments. So you have something where you want somebody to be paying you every month, and you don't want to have to chase them down or whatever it is. You could set it up so that the payment is set. They will agree to clicking a button or agreeing to part of the platform through your shopping platform to pay on an ongoing basis.
Great.
Kevin, sorry, you were going to say something, Kevin.
Yes,
I cut you
Kevin.
first.
Kevin, you wanted to add something? I don't know. Is it that Kevin is frozen or he's not hearing?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, you wanted to add something, Kevin?
Yeah, sorry, Kevin, I cut you across
Well,
earlier.
just to clarify, I realized. Oh, no, sorry. Go ahead. You finished, right?
Yes,
Yes.
no, you go ahead.
All right. Well, what I didn't finish something. What I didn't mention how I do it on my website. So on my website, people have three options. They can pay via WePay, they can pay via PayPal, or they can pay via ACH, which is the bank transfer.
Okay.
But just to clarify something with the PayPal do not trust our bank accounts. So we can't use our bank account. We can't even put a US bank account created in Trinidad and Tobago on PayPal. So you can put a MasterCard and you can put a Visa card on PayPal, but you can only receive payments if you have a Visa card on PayPal. But they don't trust. In fact, I was shocked when I found that out. I tried to put in a local US account that from a local bank, but a US account, and they were getting challenges, and we were trying to find out what's happening because the people were making the payments, but the payments wouldn't be received in PayPal. When we inquired, they said, well, I said, well, we put the information in, but we weren't getting it completed. And what was happening is they're saying is that okay, the US bank account is from Trinidad and Tobago. I said, well, yes. So no, they don't accept that bank account.
Okay.
So they don't accept our bank accounts.
I know there's so much we can explore now, but we want to go into our last segment. Oh, thank you very much.
In about 5 minutes, I have to go.
Now remember, folks, if you're listening and you want more advice on anything specific, whether personally or for your business, you can go on our page at VisionWorks at Facebook, check the booking link, and you can book any of our presenters. You can book a session to sit down to meet with them. If you want more advice, you want some consultancy, or you just want to know how do I go choosing, So great, Kevin. We may not see him again when we come back on. So thank you very much for being a part. So we want to turn over to Sheldon now, and Sheldon is going to do the last session for us, where we talk about what are the steps involved in making this choice. We've heard about the various options, we understand the benefits, but what do we need to keep in mind as we select an option that's best for us? So now we'd like Sheldon to take some time to present what are some of the things we need to consider in making these steps towards making these online payments. So over to you, Sheldon.
Okay, there are a number of things that you need to consider. And the first consideration for any business must be their clients, right? So you need to determine where are your clients based. Are they just local? Are they regional, international clients? And that will have some bearing on the types and the payment options that are open to you. Because there are some payment options that can't work based on location, as we would have heard throughout the session, and some features that may be locked to us here in Trinidad versus outside of Trinidad and stuff like that. So that is essentially extremely important. Where are your clients based, right? There's also the aspect relating to your customers, and Alina mentioned it in her sharing. Are your clients online or offline, right? Are they cash carrying clients, or are they card carrying clients? Because sometimes they may be online, but they may not have a credit card, right? So based on the nature of your clients, if you believe that most of them, okay, well, they would be online, but they don't have a credit card, you could use the services of vendors like Paywise and VP. They have a sort of voucher system where you could actually use cash to pay online, to make online purchases and payments and stuff like that, right? Another thing to consider would be the user friendliness of the method, right? You must be comfortable with the method of payment that you decide to eventually choose. So I was given an example with PayPal. A few years ago, people didn't trust it much, right? Now that has changed a great deal, and more people are on it. But whatever method you choose, you must feel comfortable with it, right? Because that is basically a tool that you'll be using to facilitate the continued growth and growth of your business by whatever transactions you need to do with your clients or support businesses. And the other thing to consider as well is the time frame of money delivery. What I mean by that, in the past, for example, I'll use PayPal again. When people made they made a payment and it was captured by PayPal, you needed to wait a month before you could withdraw and transfer onto your card as a local user of the system. It worked differently, I believe, in the US, because in the US you could transfer it to your bank account and all that kind of stuff. In Trinidad, you had to basically wait a month, and then after the month, transfer it across to your credit card, right? With WePay, for example, when a transaction is made, you then, the money or the funds would be lodged in WePay. So WePay would be like a wallet, as we were describing earlier, where your money is stored until you decide to bank it or to use money from that wallet to do another transaction, right? So if your intention is basically as the money comes in to bank, there would be some delay in getting the money to your bank account using WePay. So you have to determine what is acceptable in terms of the time frame for your money to get from your customer into your bank account, right? Using these intermediaries, whether it be a transfer from one bank to the next, or using online wallets or whatever other methods, online payment methods, right? So that's a key consideration. How seamless is the journey? Sometimes I know that there's some older, I would say, payment methods that tend to require more from you than others. So sometimes there are some systems are set up so that it's almost seamless. You enter your information and it goes, like, let's say Amazon, you enter your information once and you shop and shop and shop and shop, and you just make small adjustments just to verify your credit card. But everything else is stored, everything is there, right? You don't have to go through the hassle of re-entering information. So important thing to consider for your customers is how much of a hassle would this system be? So you need to understand the system, the method that you want to introduce, right? And if the method requires more training or more communication on your part to share how it is utilized, then you need to do that. Otherwise, you would not be maximizing the benefit of having your online payments, the particular method that you choose, right? Tech support, right? Again, this was mentioned earlier by Alina. So how effective would the tech support be if you have issues, you're unsure about something, you think there might have been an error? Just how long are these people taking to respond to your query, right? Those are important issues because based on, as we say, this is a matter of trust, and anything to do with money requires a lot of trust, right? You have to be confident in the platform that you're using to make your payments or to collect your payments from clients. So you must have a great understanding of how effective the tech support is before committing yourself to it. I could test it out and see if this could work for you or not, right? And then the cost would be an important factor, right? I think it was mentioned as well that PayPal might be a little more expensive in terms of the exchange rate, but there's also the fee for using PayPal, right? You consider that versus a local a local wallet. So you weigh up those sort of things and see which would be the better fit for you, right? And I just want to talk about basically the steps that you would need. So those are some of the considerations, right? Some critical things that you need to be aware of, right? In order to have an online system that really fits in with your business and will be an asset for your business moving forward, right? So I just want to run through some steps. In order to have this whole system set up, right, you need to have a registered business. Why? That is because most of the solutions that we have, there are some solutions that are unbanked, meaning that you don't need a bank account for them, right? But most of the solutions most of the more popular solutions, or the solutions that have really earned people's trust, require a bank account, right? As part of the process. So you need to have a registered business in order to get a business bank account to facilitate and have that as your endpoint for these platforms, these wallets, online mechanisms to collect payments from clients and so. So that is your endpoint. That is your Fort Knox, the place where you store the money that you'll be generating from your business and transferring via these online payment methods. So you must have a business account, and to do that, you must have a registered business. For more than one reason, a registered business is important, right? And in terms of those other things, have contact with your a contact number for your bank support, so they could help you to ensure that you are set up correctly on their end. You need to have some sort of online platform where you receive payments from clients. It is possible to have an email and invoicing linked to some of these different options, right? But you could have like an online shop or portal where you direct people to purchase or download, whether it be digital items or order real, as I think Randall was indicating, where he does his shopping online, PriceMart and Massey stores and whatnot, right? Have a portal, a website online where you can direct people to utilize their your online platform. And then the important thing is to communicate with your customers, right? That there is an online option. A lot of people in the past, not now, I would say is less, because it's more urgency to having a website during this time. But in the past, people would just have a website and not promote it, not have it on their letterheads, not have any information about it. And it was basically like a trophy in some cases. I have a website, and it was more or less basically like brochure, to have a brochure online. Now websites are more important and more functional, right? And as part of your strategy in developing and utilizing online payment platforms, technologies, you need to communicate the fact that you do have a place where people could come and not have to physically be present to you or in your store or your physical location. Communication is extremely critical, right? And just to kind of close off and to show the seriousness of the need for online payments, the online payment methods that we're discussing, we saw some information from trade.gov, right? And they identified, and this is more recent information, this dated September 25th, 2021, the Trinidad and Tobago country commercial guide, right? They listed the top websites in Trinidad and Tobago as Amazon, AliExpress, eBay, and My Shopify. Imagine that, the top websites in Trinidad and Tobago, right? All online platforms, right? More than that, they indicated that our internet penetration right now is 77% of the population. 77% of the population in Trinidad is online right now, right? That works out to about 1.08 million. Well, that's a figure, 1.08 million people in Trinidad. In terms of social media, we have 940,000 social media users, right? Social media accounts who have social media accounts in Trinidad. And in terms of mobile connections, we're at 1.9 million. Well, we're at 1.9 because most people would have more than one phone, right? So some parts of that 1.9 million would be people who have 2 or 3 phones or whatever, right? But that's still high in relation to the population, right? And the population, we're looking at 1.4 million as the estimate that was cited by trade.gov. So you can see from those figures that if you fail to take advantage of the situation as it exists right now, you are missing out on a very large segment of the market, right, of the population. So it's not a matter of if, right, but it should be a matter of how soon and how you go about getting online, right? So that's basically what I wanted to share on that. The essence of those elements related to how Trinidad and Tobago now is transformed into a more website savvy society, right? The COVID played basically the major part in doing that. But right now we are at this point, and even with COVID being dealt with, I don't think we'll be going back to how things were in the past. So as I said, it's not a matter of if you should, but it should be a matter of when and how, right? So that more or less should be what our focus should be as entrepreneurs, trying to determine how best to serve our customers utilizing these new tools.
Thank you so much. I really like how you ended there, Sheldon. Not so much a matter of if, but when and how we're going to take advantage of these opportunities. And you outlined some really great steps, one step by step, building upon each other, about how we can take advantage. I want to just beg the indulgence of the viewers. We were supposed to end at 7:30. I just want to beg your indulgence for just about 7 minutes more, because we want to wrap up now. But just before we get back to our panel to hear the closing remarks, we have a special feature, because there's so much more you would realize, and we cannot explore everything in this session. And some of you may not be aware of Global Entrepreneurship Week, GEW. It happens in 180 countries every year during November. And this year, VisionWorks has teamed up with Ingenuity, with Launchpad, with LSC, and Timely Entrepreneur. And this is who Sheldon represents. So we want to move into a very short presentation where Sheldon is going to share a little bit about what to expect as they deal and explore and expand this topic coming up during Global Entrepreneurship Week. So at this time, we just want to turn back over to Sheldon to tell us a little bit more about what we can expect when their program comes on about assessing online payment options in November. So just take a couple minutes, Sheldon, and let us know what to expect. And then when we come back, we're going to wrap up.
Okay. Basically, in terms of the next session that we'll be having during the GEW Global Entrepreneurship Week. This will take place on Tuesday, the 9th of November, right? Online via Zoom, right? We have our, you can go to our website or Facebook page to sign up. The link to our website is really, I probably should have sent this, but it's the timely https://new.thetimelyentrepreneur.com/events. So it's new.thetimelyentrepreneur.com/events. So you go into the events page, right? And you'll be able to register, right? We have given a presentation at that event is Mr. John Outridge. He is currently the CEO of the Trinidad and Tobago IFC, International Financial Center. Right, he's a tech expert and a venture capitalist. His focus, right, at the session would be to introduce us to some of the local fintech companies that are providing these sort of mediums to facilitate online payments, right? So the local. So we've been talking a lot about the foreign, the PayPal's and the 2Checkouts and stuff like that, right? But he's going to talk a lot about some of the local options, some of the regional options too, because there are some regional companies in the Caribbean that we don't know about, but they have good platforms that we could use as well, right? And he's going to see how they can use their offerings, right, to help our local firms boost their own offerings to their own customers, right? In the same way that I mentioned, I spoke about going online because the whole country is online right now. He is going to focus on how these new fintech companies, local fintech companies, can give us that support that we need to have that dynamic platform that will allow us to interact with customers in new ways, right? So 6 p.m. Tuesday, November the 8th, the 9th, right? So you can check that out. And just to say one word on Mr. Outridge, he was one of the persons that facilitated the whole online payments in public sector setup. So now you can make some payments using your credit card at the using TT Connect and all that kind of stuff. He was the one that masterminded that settings. He was the project lead on that. So now he has a broader focus of trying to bring fintech companies, develop more fintech companies in Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, other local entrepreneurs to show them what is available, right? So hope to see you there. I think the link was up a little while ago. So be sure to check us on November the 9th, right? 6 p.m.
Great. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sheldon. You see, there's so much to share on this particular topic. So we encourage you, don't miss that session coming up. And you want to be a part of Global Entrepreneurship Week, we will be there certainly sharing as well in other sessions later in the week, but you want to make sure and get into this session on assessing online payments and its benefits for you. So now we want to bring on a panel just for some closing remarks before we wrap up this evening. We want to say thank you so much to this very powerful panel, this esteemed panel. Mr. Kevin Sandy has left us, but just as we're wrapping up, we've heard so much tonight. Randall give us the landscape, inside website, outside website payments, banking, online, cryptocurrency, blockchain. We heard about so many elements. And then Alina came back and she calmed us down and she said, don't worry, this thing can work. You need to have confidence in the system. And then, of course, Sheldon gave us some practical steps. So just as we're leaving, there may be persons who still maybe, a little tentative. They're not too sure. What would you like to say in closing, to those listening, those viewing? And we want to remind you that you can check us at VisionWorks on our Facebook page if you want to book to see any of our presenters for a one-on-one session with them. So I'll turn over to maybe Alina. What would be your closing remarks? What would you like to leave with our viewers this evening?
Yeah, I would lead off with something Sheldon said, which is that in a post-COVID world, we are not going to be returning to a pre-COVID world. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. And that means it's very important that we expose ourselves to the information that is needed to get prepared to move forward. For a long time, there are many of us locally that were just very settled in cash-based systems, stay off the grid, all of that. But if we are to be committed to our business, our vision and growth, we have to challenge ourselves to be willing to learn, even if we think we're getting too old for this thing. No such thing. The brain continues to work, it continues to be active. Let's expose ourselves to forums like these. Let's go under advisement. VisionWorks offers consultancy services for persons who are unsure where to stick your head, where to go. Then check VisionWorks out. And if you know where to go, you have your connections in your local banks or the financial institutions. By all means, connect with representatives, because knowledge is power, and that power is going to take you into sustainability of your business ventures in the years to come. So don't be afraid to get information, use that information, and build the confidence you need to get set up for the future world and the future of business. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Alina. Sheldon, what would be your last closing comment you'd like to share for our viewers this evening?
Well, yeah, basically, I just want to echo some of what I said in the end of my presentation. Basically, you need to jump in,
Yes.
embrace this new way of doing business, right? Understand it, right? But do it, execute it, get it done, because your business depends on it.
Great, thank you. And certainly we're gonna hear more about that at your presentation on Global Entrepreneurship Week on November 9th at 6 p.m. You don't want to miss that. So Randall, you can round us off. What is your closing remark for us this evening? You're on mute, Randall.
My apologies. Yeah, I thank everybody for holding on for us for the extra time. But I will just close off really quickly by saying what I said earlier. Don't be afraid. Be aware. And awareness means that you have to be, as Alina and Shella are saying, know what is out there, understand how it fits with your business or with your personal goals, and say, okay, how can I put this in place, making sure I understand all the bells and whistles. If I don't understand, get the advice of someone who can explain it to me, because at the end of the day, the world is moving forward. And there are lots of people with conspiracy theories about all sorts of things. But trust me, there were conspiracy theories about the telephone. There were conspiracy theories about trains. There were conspiracy theories about everything that man has invented. And ultimately, they're genuine, sometimes concerns. That's why educating yourself, being aware, getting second opinions, and then moving forward so that you could make the best of it leads to what I consider the golden opportunity, which is to be flexible and adapt. And if you can adapt, both personally and professionally and in terms of business, you can succeed. And that is the name of the game as we move forward into a brave new world of digital and online payments.
Thank you very much, Randall. So again, thank you very much to our panel, to Alina, to Sheldon, to Randall, and to Kevin, who was with us earlier. He had to go on to another panel discussion. And just to close up, we just like to say thank you so much to all of viewers and all of those that were taking part in our session. Remember to check us on our Facebook page, where you're going to get more information about how to make a booking, to see any of our presenters today, to find out more about how you can take advantage of online payments. Remember, of course, that you were born to make a difference. You were born to make an impact. As we leave, we want to leave you with our clip or promotion for Global Entrepreneurship Week, just to close us off. But just to say thank you so much for taking part. Make sure and do your best to take advantage of online payments. Thank you, God bless, and good night.
Pivot to profit. Join the VW team for Global Entrepreneurship Week this November. Register for our Entrepreneurial Development Series today.